What if you could turn your deepest questions about life after death into a powerful catalyst for emotional healing and personal growth? In this journey, you'll discover how confronting the unknown can help you release lingering grief, overcome fears, and find new meaning in your day-to-day experiences. If you've ever longed for a deeper understanding of loss, love, and the mystery of existence, stay with me, because these insights might just transform your life. Imagine a moment when you felt completely overwhelmed by sadness or anxiety, perhaps after losing someone dear or facing a major life change. It's in those vulnerable moments that we tend to ask the big questions. Is there a place beyond this world? Do the people I've lost still exist in some form? What does it all mean for my own journey? These are the exact questions that cultures worldwide have wrestled with for centuries. Ancient Egyptians built vast pyramids to secure safe passage into the afterlife. Eastern philosophies discuss cycles of rebirth, and numerous religious traditions speak of realms where souls gather up. At first glance, these ideas seem different, but they all reveal a powerful human yearning, the belief, or at least the hope, that consciousness endures. This sense of yearning isn't just about curiosity, it's deeply emotional. When we question what happens beyond physical death, we're often trying to cope with the pain of saying goodbye or the fear that our lives lack lasting significance. Realizing how universal these questions are can be comforting, because it shows we're not isolated in our doubts or sorrows. Across time and across cultures, we share a collective search for reassurance that life has a deeper thread connecting us all. As soon as you begin exploring what might lie beyond this life, something interesting happens. You start asking how that possibility can improve the way you live right now. If we're more than just bodies destined to vanish, then each experience, whether joyful or heartbreaking, could serve a purpose. Some spiritual traditions compare life to a school for the soul, suggesting that every challenge or loss we face holds an opportunity to evolve. This might sound grand, but consider it in simple terms. That heartbreak you felt could have taught you resilience and compassion. If you embrace the perspective that each trial is a lesson, even difficult periods become stepping stones to a better understanding of yourself. Picture someone who went through a staggering loss, like the sudden death of a close friend or family member. In their search for answers, they find near-death experience accounts or read about ancient beliefs in reincarnation. Though they start out just seeking comfort, wanting proof their loved one is somehow okay, they end up discovering something else, a renewed appreciation for the fragility and preciousness of life. They might decide to reach out to estranged relatives, or finally pursue a dream they'd postponed. Suddenly, the idea of an afterlife becomes a spark that ignites changes in how they live day to day. You might have heard the term soul family, referring to deep connections that may span across lifetimes or go beyond what our senses can perceive. Even if you're not sure about the spiritual dimension, you've likely felt bonds with people that defy explanation, as though you've known each other far longer than your shared memories would suggest. Psychologists explain such intense bonds in terms of attachment theory, emphasizing how meaningful relationships are vital for our mental well-being. On a spiritual level, these connections are said to help us heal because they remind us that we're never truly alone. On a practical level, strong social support gives us the reassurance we need to face life's toughest moments. Seen from both angles, we benefit, both emotionally and spiritually, from the powerful sense of belonging such relationships offer. If you look at near-death experiences (NDEs), you'll find countless testimonies of people returning from the brink of death, often describing feelings of overwhelming peace, love, or unity. Whether interpreted as genuine glimpses into another realm, or as the brain's response to extreme stress, these stories can be life-altering for those who experience them. Many come back with a reduced fear of death and a profound desire to live more authentically, focusing on compassion and presence rather than solely on material goal. You might not fully embrace their accounts as evidence of another dimension, but the transformative impact is hard to ignore. It's as if, by briefly touching the boundary between life and death, these individuals return with renewed clarity about what matters most: our connections, our ability to love, and our chance to grow in understanding. Consider for a moment what that realization could mean in your own life. If you reflect on the possibility that consciousness extends beyond the grave, you might be prompted to let go of grudges or regrets that weigh you down. You might sense an urgency to mend relationships or express your love more openly, not out of fear, but because you sense a deeper thread connecting us all. This shift in perspective can be healing in itself. Whether you fully believe in a continuation after death, or you're simply open to the possibility, the outcome is often a more meaningful, compassionate approach to living. So, how do you channel these insights into tangible steps? One way is through regular meditation. Even a brief practice, 5 minutes in the morning, where you focus on your breath and softly contemplate an open-ended question like, what can I learn from my fear of losing the people I love? Can shed light on unresolved emotions. You don't have to force answers. Simply observe what surfaces. Another tool is journaling. Write down your reflections on mortality, loss, or any afterlife beliefs you resonate with. Track how these reflections influence your daily thoughts, behaviors, and interactions with others. By revisiting these notes, you may spot patterns or revelations that bring deeper clarity. Emotional healing also thrives in community. If you're curious about life beyond death or struggling with grief, look for support groups, online or in person, where members share their experiences, whether spiritual or psychological. Listening to others' stories can be a powerful reminder that you're not alone in your wonder, skepticism, or hope. Sometimes, people share signs or coincidences that feel like messages from beyond, and while not everyone interprets them the same way, such stories can at least spark a sense of awe. That awe often opens the heart, allowing a more flexible attitude toward possibility. When you're open, you're more likely to find comfort and to extend comfort to others. Perhaps you've had your own subtle experiences, a dream where a late loved one seemed incredibly real, a sudden intuitive nudge that reminded you of them, or a sense that they're still nearby, guiding you. Whether you chalk it up to psychological coping or something transcendent, these moments can feel deeply reassuring. They can also prompt you to think, if there's even a chance this is real, how do I want to live differently? Often, this line of inquiry leads to practical changes. Maybe you decide to volunteer with a hospice care organization, or you commit to calling family members more often. You might even look at your own emotional landscape and choose to address pains you've long carried, acknowledging that if life is precious and possibly connected to something greater, you want to spend it as freely and fully as possible. Exploring the idea of an afterlife can also spark questions about the meaning behind our hardships. Instead of viewing challenges as random misfortunes, we might start asking how they can shape us. In some belief systems, each experience is a lesson we signed up for. That perspective alone might soften the edge of our struggles, prompting us to ask, what is this teaching me? Rather than, why me? Even if you're unsure about the spiritual dimension, approaching problems with the mindset that they hold lessons can be empowering. It makes you an active participant in your journey, encouraging you to extract growth from every situation. That sense of empowerment grows when you consider near-death experience narratives. Many individuals who come back from those thresholds describe a staggering feeling of unconditional love or acceptance, as though everything makes sense in a single, all-encompassing moment. Imagine how liberating that must feel, to release the constant judgments and anxieties of everyday life and see existence through the lens of pure compassion. While we don't have to physically hover near death to glimpse that perspective, their stories can inspire us to practice smaller moments of unconditional acceptance, from forgiving someone who hurt us to granting ourselves grace for past mistakes. This approach can be profoundly healing, not just spiritually, but psychologically, as it helps us make peace with ourselves and others. Sometimes we struggle with accepting the idea of life beyond death because it's unknown and intangible. Yet, confronting the unknown can lead us to ask, how can I use this uncertainty to spark growth? You might examine the fear or discomfort you feel and ask where it stems from. For some, it's a dread of losing control. For others, it's the sting of unanswered questions. Yet, Leaning into that mystery has a curious effect. It often humbles us, reminding us that we're part of something grand and intricate, far beyond our individual perspective. That humility can foster empathy, because we see that everyone else is wrestling with life's mysteries. 2. We become more patient with differences of opinion, more understanding of another's suffering, and more inclined to lift each other up when we stumble. If you've ever felt completely alone in your questions, take comfort in knowing this is one of the oldest human impulses. Philosophers, shamans, monks, and scientists have all wrestled with the riddle of what lies beyond. Some used rituals or prayers to seek direct contact with spiritual realms. Others developed scientific theories or psychological frameworks. Together, they form a tapestry of diverse perspectives, none offering final proof, but each adding a piece to the puzzle of our shared curiosity. This tapestry can unify us. When you hear stories of someone in a distant culture reflecting on the same questions you have, it's a reminder that we're bound by our longing to understand why we're here and where we might go next. To integrate these insights into your daily routine, try small, consistent steps. In the evening, light a candle and silently offer gratitude for people you've lost, or for the guidance you believe you've received from beyond. Journal your experiences with this ritual. Did it soothe you, spark a memory, or open a fresh question? You could also practice living goodbyes, telling people you care about what they mean to you while you can. This not only honors the fragile nature of life, but also creates a deeper emotional bond in the present, which can lessen regret if separation does happen. Over time, these small acts accumulate and can change your outlook. You might notice you're less reactive to minor stressors because you're holding a larger perspective. You might become more willing to step into discomfort, whether that's tackling a fear head-on or finally addressing an old emotional wound. All of this ties back to that initial question. Could exploring life after death help me heal right now? The answer for many is yes. Not because we gain a neat, proven explanation of what's beyond, but because the very act of wondering can reawaken our vitality, compassion, and hope. As you continue this exploration, pay attention to how your relationships shift. When you let the possibility of a continued journey influence your actions, you may find you listen more intently to those around you, hoping to truly understand them rather than argue over detail. You might let go of petty resentments, recognizing that holding on to them only weighs you down now, and you might seek out opportunities to connect with or serve others, motivated by the sense that our bonds could be timeless, or at least meaningful beyond our short human lifespan. Whether these ideas resonate as literal truths or compelling metaphors, they can guide you toward a gentler, more empathetic way of being. Of course, we don't all have the same relationship to spiritual or existential ideas. Maybe you're skeptical, or you lean more toward scientific explanations of phenomena like near-death experiences. That's okay. You can still glean emotional benefits by seeing how others find comfort and transformation in these concepts. Curiosity itself is healing. Engaging with different viewpoints can reveal new angles on the same human truths we all share. Life is finite, love matters deeply, and grief can teach us something essential if we let it in. In many cases, simply acknowledging that life is short, whether it's the only one we have or just the beginning of many chapters, catalyzes a desire to live authentically. It might prompt you to start that creative project you've postponed, to reconcile with a distant sibling, or to volunteer in a community that needs your unique gifts. By reflecting on your mortality, you realize that your time is a valuable resource, and you're driven to invest it in pursuits that feed your soul and help others thrive. As you near the end of this reflection, pause for a moment and ask, what have I gained from exploring these possibilities? Maybe you feel a softening around the topic of death, a little less dread, a little more openness. Perhaps you have new ideas about how to support someone who is grieving, or how to honor a loved one's memory. Or maybe you've been reminded that you deserve gentleness in your own healing process. Whatever sparks have been lit for you, consider carrying them forward, whether that's through further reading, deeper conversations with friends, or simple daily practices of mindfulness and gratitude. If you found value in this exploration, You could share these insights with someone who might be grappling with loss or existential fear. It doesn't require preaching or convincing them of a particular view. Often, just knowing another person is willing to ponder the mysteries of life and death can provide comfort. Connection is powerful medicine for the soul, whether it's forged through a belief in eternal bonds or simply through collective wonder about our brief but meaningful time on earth. Thank you for journeying through these thoughts and questions. As you move forward, remember that even without definitive proof of what lies beyond, the pursuit of understanding can be deeply healing. Stay curious, stay kind to yourself, and embrace the small, beautiful moments that remind us of our capacity for resilience and love. The next time you look up at the night sky or sense the presence of someone no longer with you, let that spark of possibility nudge you toward greater compassion for yourself and others. Because ultimately, whether or not there's a continuation after this life, the simple act of asking and living as though your life has enduring significance can illuminate your path in the here and now. And that might be the most profound gift of all.